This episode of Total Retail Talks is being sponsored by Radial, the leader in omnichannel commerce technology and operations. The world's favorite brands, including retailers like Dick's Sporting Goods, GameStop, and Shoe Carnival, trust Radial to simplify their post-click commerce and profitably exceed their customers' expectations. Radial helps retailers fulfill consumer expectations by taking on the complexity of their omnichannel retail business and transforming it into a seamlessly orchestrated experience. Radial's retail order management, payments and fraud, fulfillment and transportation, store fulfillment, and customer care solutions help retailers drive revenue, customer satisfaction, and loyalty to more profitably grow their business. Visit radial.com to see how.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to episode 68 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, executive editor of Total Retail. Today I'm joined by Bart Robinson, vice president of product management for Shindigz, a retailer of party supplies for all occasions. We're going to be discussing the relaunch of Shindigz mobile site and how it's improving the shopping experience for the brand's customers. Thanks for joining me, Bart.
I appreciate it, Joe. Glad to talk more and more about this. I mean, we just launched our site, so this is top of mind and very relevant, and we're excited to continue the conversation.
Great. So then let's kind of look back a little bit. And so prior to the relaunch of the site, the mobile site, what was the feedback that you were hearing from your customers about their shopping experiences on mobile devices previously with Shindigz?
Well, in most cases, from a customer's perspective, they're going to be focused on findability, particularly on a site our size where we have over 35,000 SKUs. So when it comes to findability, there's usually one of three paths that customers take, and that is they're going to use navigation, they're going to use search, or they're going to use filters and facets once they get to a category page. So when we focused on all three of those areas, when we were focused on improving the mobile experience, and the site launched just over a month ago, and we're still tweaking and configuring, but those have been the three focal points of the mobile site.
So maybe for some context, let's talk about the Shindigz customer and then their use of mobile. Are you seeing a higher, like most retailers, you continue to see your mobile traffic continues to grow? And, what about the customer and how they're interacting with Shindigz on mobile?
Yeah, we've seen a pretty steady increase of mobile traffic. Really started, I think, for most retailers, particularly those that are focused on e-commerce, in that mobile-geddon time period of the spring of 2015. And so we saw a large jump then, and we see a steady increase since then. One of the things that's been different, though, and I think other retailers have experienced this too, is the behavior of customers while they're on mobile devices. It used to be a browsing device. Now customers are much more willing and active in their purchase behavior, and e-retailers need to be prepared for that. It's no longer just a collection of information where they browse and then they complete their order on a desktop. It needs to be not only browse friendly, but it needs to be transaction friendly as well.
Yeah, and I think to your point that some of the numbers that have come out from this past holiday weekend, kind of bear that out with the rise in transactions that are occurring on mobile, not just traffic. So then let's talk about, you mentioned kind of the high number of SKUs that Shindigz offers, and kind of that searchability that you're finding from customers on mobile. Can you discuss how the new relaunched mobile site addresses those customer wants and needs about finding the right product, and then getting to checkout and making purchases quickly and easily?
Sure. So those are two very, very disparate things right there. Is finding something and then making sure that checkout process is pretty smooth, and both have been top of mind for us. But from a findability standpoint, one of the big things that we did in preparation for this launch is to focus on making sure all of our products have the proper attributes. And the attributes are key because those drive the filters once you're on a category page. But they also improve relevancy of search terms, and so those things are they really key on or focus on attributes. Very different from the navigation, because that's somebody is more exploring on navigation. On search, they typically have some idea of what they want, whether or not it's as generic as a red balloon, or they're focused on something like Avengers party supplies. They're not looking for a plate or cups or so forth, but they're focused on Avengers, and so that needs to be an attribute. So that's really where we spent a lot of our time focusing, and on mobile, I think it's even more important because you don't have the viewport that you do on desktop, and you need when you tap on that filter button, it needs to be an effective use of your time.
Yeah, that's a good lead into my next question around kind of the behaviors and that you're seeing with the Shindigz customer on mobile versus maybe what you've seen on desktop and the standard e-commerce site. And can you talk about some of the, I guess, similarities that you see and differences, and then how do you kind of try to adjust to provide what customers need for those differences?
Well, that's a good point. Because a lot of times, from a retailer's perspective, you get caught into these trendy terms such as being mobile centric, and we've tried to be customer centric. But as you do that, you quickly realize that there are differences in the device types and the channels that customers self-select into. So on mobile, they're not going to have the same opportunity to explore as they would on desktop. So those filters, for instance, one of the ways that we've done, the approach that we've taken, is to make sure the filters are pinned. So as somebody scrolls down or they're thumbing down on their device, those filters are still present. I don't want to say they're omnipresent because they're only on category pages, but what we try to do is make sure that relevant elements on that page remain in that viewport. So whether or not it's filters or sort or the search icons, we've made the decision to make sure that those are pinned to the extent that it makes sense.
Yeah, and with the smaller screen of mobile, obviously, and the breadth of products that Shindigz offers, I guess that's a really important feature to what you're doing on mobile.
It is, and so far we've had a positive response to it. The filters by themselves, the entire interaction there was new because we didn't really have robust attribution before then. So the ability to filter was new, and then pinning it and making sure it's accessible was also new. And so far we've heard some good responses to it.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that response that you've seen. You mentioned it's pretty brand new, a month old or so, but can you talk about the response you've seen so far to the relaunched mobile site, and then what are the business benefits going forward that you would hope to realize as a result of this initiative? I would imagine you not only traffic, but you're going to be trying to convert more customers on mobile. But talk about the goals and business benefits that you hope to see.
Yeah, so from an e-commerce standpoint, it's the same across devices. The top three KPIs are traffic, right? How many people are coming to your site? Conversion is obviously how many people are buying something, and then the third one though is AOV, and how much do they buy when they actually decide to purchase. You see different degrees. You see differences across all the device types on all three of those metrics. We already briefly talked about the traffic migration going over to mobile. Conversion needs to mirror that traffic migration and increase if you're going to be able to sustain success in your e-commerce business. So the primary things that we're focused on are conversion and AOV. We're going to continue to focus on traffic, but those are a little bit more macro from a marketing perspective and how you manage your digital programs. So conversion and AOV. Traditionally, AOV is both conversion and AOV are much lower on on mobile devices. So what we've seen so far, and we've seen an increase in both. We've seen an increase in conversion, and they are buying more. And I think the AOV part is a direct correlation with the findability piece and finding complementary products. At the end of the day, our customers are not putting together an outfit like an apparel retailer. They're actually putting together a celebration. So they're going to need plates, cups, napkins, maybe banners, party decorations, tableware, other tableware, and so forth. So they need to be able to easily find complementary products. The attributions and filters help with that. So conversion is increasing, and AOV is coming along with it. And so as of right now, we're pretty optimistic about where we are.
Yeah, and I was going to mention sort of the ease of the experience then is going to lend itself to customers spending more because they're finding what they need, and then they might, go through the process again and find something else that they need. So it's kind of that ease of experience lends itself to higher spend.
It does, and the other piece of that is, and I mentioned the complementary products and how we curate that experience. Making sure that some of those algorithms or the recommendation engines that a lot of sites have, making sure that those are mobile friendly too is also important. Again, particularly for us, because our average cart size in terms of items is going to be larger than some others, because again, they're putting together a full party that's going to have a variety of things from favors to plates and cups and napkins. So making sure that they can piece together that celebration is obviously important. So it's a harder solve on mobile, but nonetheless, it's just as important.
Yeah, and then my final question, Bart, is having just gone through this at Shindigz with this mobile relaunch, maybe you could talk about your experiences and maybe offer any advice or insights you have for other retailers that may be about to undergo sort of a mobile initiative like this, and maybe you can talk about that from two perspectives. One, kind of internally, what are kind of the steps you need to take to make sure you have the right team working on it, and kind of discuss kind of your internal conversations, and then also what you need to do for the customer, kind of how you engage the customer about the new mobile site and sort of what they want.
Sure. So being focused on mobile is it's an important initiative. But one of the things that I think needs to be thought of is the consistency of experiences across device types. And so while we want mobile to be different, and you focus on mobile, you can't abandon your other device types, because at the end of the day, you are a brand, and you do have to have consistency of experiences and how customers interact with elements on your site. So consistency is important. The three things that I mentioned before of the findability of navigation, search, and filters, those three things and how they interact with them, I think those need to be at the top of any retailer's list. The last part I thought was a good call out by you, Joe, is internally, how do you manage these initiatives, and how do you focus on successful execution? And at the end of the day, I think most businesses or most corporations have three functional groups that need to work together. And that's going to be the technology piece that builds the site. But then you also have merchandising and marketing. So how content renders, as an example, how you display images and content on a mobile device needs to be thoughtful and thorough. And it can't interrupt or create friction points in the experience. Likewise, on merchandising, your viewport is much smaller. So making sure that you utilize the real estate positions on a product category page and making sure the most relevant products are near the top is even more important on a mobile device. So merchandising has to be at the table there too. So I'll focus on those three things from a functionality standpoint, to make sure that you have some pretty tight communication and collaboration with marketing, merchandising, and in our case, product management.
some really good insights there. I want to take this opportunity to thank Bart Robinson of Shindigz for his time telling us a little bit about the company's new mobile site and the business in general. You can please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on iTunes and Stitcher, but make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Lastly, please follow us on Twitter at mytotalretail or on Facebook at facebook.com/mytotalretail. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talk. This episode has been brought to you by Radial, the leader in omnichannel commerce technology and operations. Learn how to simplify your post-click commerce and profitably exceed your customers' expectations at radial.com.